They say in space, nobody can hear you scream about the floor price of NFTs. Well, that might be true in space, but it's certainly not true on X, formerly known as Twitter. Everybody can hear you scream, and what a lot of screaming there has been. Computer?
Affirmative, Mr. Massive.
Play X Outrage Medley.
Playing Outrage Medley, culture matters. And they were warned by you so many times. What a case study it is on how to run a business and screw a billion-dollar brand. Those goats.
Yes, it's time for your weekly fast as fuck news fix. A dashing amuse-bouche of Web3 gaming and culture to wash down all of that phlegm. Coming up, NFTs are in freefall. What went wrong at Artifact? And some fast as fudge news headlines. Although, to be honest, there is not a lot going on since Bitcoin has just whooped everything's ass. Alts are bullish, and that means culture can go do one. So grab yourself a fraz and let's get MetaPlex'd, because there will be some ranting. Oh yeah. Alright, so we have to start with Bitcoin, which made a valiant attempt to breach its all-time high yesterday before plummeting 12% in about 4 hours to $60,000. Although it has rebounded, as it tends to do, yo-yo, elastic trading, all driven by, well, actually nobody knows, because traditionally we don't see this kind of price action till after the halving, which didn't prevent everyone's favorite gobshite Anthony Pomplamoose predicting Bitcoin would double again in short order. Unless we forget, this is the same yelping hot dog vendor who said this.
Rocket ship, get on board.
And you know what? I took his advice. I am on a rocket ship. This is an Artifact CloneX space pod. I did get on board. And look where that got us. More on that later. Oh, but one more thing. That kind of chat, that kind of talk live on TV, that's what gets us into trouble. It's the super cycle bollocks all over again. Hot dog vendor. All right, so here we are on my other ship. This is an exopod, and it's more of a luxury affair with some nice seating areas over there and over there. We've got a reception area here, so I can imagine this being some kind of boutique hotel, some kind of Airbnb. And just down here, somebody's left something for me. Yeah, that is it's an egg. There's no doubting that that is in fact an egg, another egg. We'll come back to that later. Now listen, Bitcoin ordinals have been continuing to rise, close to 62 million handcrafted data martyr pieces, now lovingly committed to the venerable grandfather of scammers.
Pump it to over $1 billion, 300 million, trillion market cap.
And money launderers. And yes, I did mess up the word masterpieces. It's hard being me. Now, I doubt this has too much to do with the Bitcoin run-up, but it's still just so much fun to see the from my cold dead hand Bitcoin maxis grudgingly admit that additional functionality and inscriptions are actually quite fun and quite good for Bitcoin. Oh, and just in case you're wondering, the correct term for all of this is no longer Web3, but on-chain. Got it? On-chain. Just don't use the word Web3 or crypto, okay? Just get rid of it, all right? Yeah? And now, my friends, we come to, I'm afraid, the nastier consequences of Bitcoin and alts running. Because as they do, the natural course of markets is to redeploy capital, which means NFTs are bleeding. Now, if we look at the charts, Bitcoin and alts are clearly through their bear market cycle, but take one look at this chart. When is a floor not a floor? When it's a trapdoor. And it's not just Bored Apes. Mutant Apes are down 14.9% today. Pudgy Penguins down 4.8%. And CloneX are down 9.7%. But that is just a small piece of the story. There seems to be something terribly wrong over at Artifact at the moment. They've just announced delivery of the long-awaited Project Animus collection. Companions for clones due to be incubated soon. That's what that egg is all about. Now, these were free claims for clones holders made to reward the core community, but it's fair to say the core community is feeling pretty pissed off right now. Artifact has massively fumbled their Web3 ventures today. He talks about merch as well. Look, it takes too long and you forget about it, and then when it does turn up, you're like, meh, don't care anymore. That's Dod Tint. What else can we find? Animus Mechanics, just a fancy way to sell you more shit. Artifact is a slow rug with a rotten culture. That's what Kazanomics says. And the Real Nomics catalogues a run of defensive and problematic comments from opinionated team members. And Do It Big Chicago didn't hold back in his criticism of a recent space where all the founders were there talking about Animus. Zaptio is annoying, but Benoit's French accent makes him even more annoying. I hate the ego that comes through the voice of cocky French scammers is another highlight there. So let's just get real for a second, because I have known this team and this project since the very earliest of early days, and it is genuinely sad to see this level of sentiment. They stand accused of arrogance, of entitlement, of not delivering, and of extractive practices trying to squeeze every last penny out of their supporters. The truth is, Artifact used to be incredible at rewarding their supporters. Early collectors of the very first drops got physicals at no cost. They also got favorable entry prices for clones. Then let's not forget, every single clone got a space pod. They got a monolith box. They got crypto kicks. They got vials. They also got eggs, and all of those were worth something. Now, you may not jam with their art style, but they do put the work in. They delivered 3D files for everything, and as with everything, it always depends when you started. When did you buy? When did you buy in? Artifact's biggest crime appears to be not listening to their community, of appearing to act in their own best interests above the community. Do It Big Chicago is pissed about Zaptio lamenting the loss of royalties, but this is where the rubber hits the road. The biggest of big players in this space are actively pushing to shepherd users, you, me, everybody, traders, towards Magic Eden and the new royalty-enforcing marketplace on Ethereum. And you'll have to excuse me if I get pissed off here, because the armchair keyboard warriors out there cause so much damage, lobbing grenades willy-nilly, but have zero clue what it's like to build anything in this space. When Blur initiated the royalty wars, they single-handedly killed NFTs as we know them. Because the dirty secret is that without royalties, 99% of projects cannot survive. Cannot survive. NFT holders, well, you demand more NFTs, more stuff in perpetuity for the rest of time. It doesn't stop, but you don't want to pay for it. And while there were royalties, that was fine because the interest and the excitement, they directly contributed to the economics of the project. But Blur killed that. Now, it wasn't just Blur, it's unfair to put it all on them, but they precipitated the death. And it was inevitable. But while that fragile relationship existed, the incentives were at least vaguely balanced, and projects could continue to deliver as long as there was interest. The short-sighted fucks at Blur destroyed that. I call them short-sighted because, let me run it through with you. If there is no incentive to build anything, projects will die. And if projects die, there's no incentive to speculate and trade on them, so Blur also dies, which is, with all due respect, fucking stupid. So Do It Big Chicago, let me ask you this. Have you made any calls to employees this year or last that you have to lay off to let them know that the model that you built on is no longer economically viable? Have you gone hat in hand to investors to take rejection after rejection after rejection after rejection in the face of AI and everything it can do? Have you sat and taken shit from your community over and over and over? Because unless you have done this, with all due respect, you don't know fucking anything. And that is not to say that artifacts haven't made mistakes, although they haven't exhibited arrogance. And that is also not to defend the way they have done things. But the truth is, if you kill royalties, you leave projects with no option but to have to sell you stuff. There's an economic reality here. They have employees. They must deliver stuff. That stuff is not free. But you want it to be free. Everyone loves pudgies because, vibes. But their single greatest innovation, the thing that has sent them to the moon, has been to sell more stuff. And you just love it because they're not selling it to you. They're selling it to Web 2 normies. But it's still selling stuff. Because without royalties, you only have two options as a project. The first is to sell more stuff and hope you can get away with it. And the other is to launch a token like ApeCoin. And both are fraught with issues. Now look, new revenue models will be found, but it's going to take time. but you have to understand the fundamental unit economics of running an actual business. Web3 gaming is catching all the attention, and it's undeniably great to be able to tuck into genuine utility. But underpinning most of it is a reheated dog's breakfast of DeFi's greatest hits. And we all know where that ended up. Rant over. Because if nothing else, Artifact's greatest gift to this community has been the amazing tribe of creators that have sprung up to service it, to support it, and to get creating. And it's one of those incredible creators we are featuring today, because I bet you thought we'd forgotten about digital fashion, but we haven't. CLXRB versus Rupsy Banks. Bring it on. Yes! There we go. Lovely streetwear. Get some details on that. We've got a lovely puffer jacket. Look at the pattern. Such a vibe. We've got a nice little bag here as well. The trousers are just like, the fit's great. I'm digging these. And pair them up with a pair of angels. Man, such a vibe. So CLXRB is a music producer and DJ, and he's pushing IP with the CloneX avatar within the Artifact ecosystem and Web3 universe using the angry tat trait within his clone, that's basically this, to tie in the branding. Now all his music can be heard on YouTube and Spotify, Apple Music, etc., being on Australia's biggest dance label, and he's worked with some of the biggest names in the EDM space. He is looking to bring this to the Web3 and create a space and just make cool stuff with the best creators around, i.e. moi. I will definitely be wearing these more often. Right, it's time to do some news headlines as well. Let's keep the vibes going. Boom! No more downers, yeah? Right, we're going to rip through today's top headlines from across the Web3 gaming and culture metaverse. Muras. HYTOPIA's Hychain node sale began on March the 2nd, 2024, empowering gamers to participate in securing and shaping the future of decentralized gaming. The sale offers participants the opportunity to become integral members of the HYTOPIA ecosystem, with rewards including 250 million tokens over a 3-year timeline and 25% of transaction fees in perpetuity for securing the network. Imaginary Ones has done a funding round. Web3 entertainment group Imaginary Ones secured funding from Cypher Capital and Animoca Brands, which means they're doubling down on gaming content and merchandise. Lionshare Group has introduced Reaktor, a groundbreaking initiative poised to reshape the landscape of Web3 gaming. Poised to reshape the landscape. I can't wait. Former Sony executive Shawn Layden has provided guidance to gaming company ReadyGG, which, as well as Shawn, has secured $4 million in funding for the advancement of Web3 gaming. All of these companies advancing Web3 gaming. Oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing. Neopets, known for its virtual pet simulator web game, has cancelled that game despite raising $4 million in funding from crypto firms like Polygon and Avalanche. The company is now focusing on a non-crypto mobile game called World of Neopets. Traitors! Season 3 of Legends of the Mara is now live, apparently, not that anyone cares, and Coachella has partnered with OpenSea to launch 3 NFT collections, unlocking access to the festival. And thank God, because I was getting completely fed up of being denied access to the festival. Let's hope Coachella doesn't repeat their 2022 story where they got $1.5 million worth of NFTs trapped on FTX. Now, these are priced at $1,499 each, and 1,000 of the tokens will be available for purchase until April the 1st at oh my God, who cares? And finally, Metalcore's closed beta is live. And that was the news. So look, I didn't mean to be a big old downer on this whole thing, but I hope I've given you something to think about. Royalties are important, and now, hopefully, you understand why. Until next time, massive thanks to CLBX for the threads. Definitely be rocking these again soon. This is your favorite Gen V influencer saying, keep it real, bitches. Check out the bass heads. Bye.